Alright you guys, we're going to go ahead and drill out this cam chain tensioner setup for the CL Honda. We got a kit to replace the plastic wheels with the steel wheels. And right now we're just going to drill out a rivet so we can go ahead and put in the new assembly. And there's a snap ring here on the other side that needs to come out. Then once all that's done, basically it's just reassembly, although we do have to press in the new rivet for the smaller upper wheel here. Alrighty, here we go. I think I'm just spinning it. Alright. So that is that. Looks good. Didn't really do anything to the metal itself. Everything looks straight and square still. Alright, we just got to pull out the clip here and take off the rest of it and then get this thing cleaned up. Clip. So this is basically all we're saving. Take this apart, replace the wheels. We got the kit over here for the wheels. I'll go ahead and bring you guys back when I'm done cleaning this up. Alright, so we got this flange here that we need to press on. So it's got an oil hole here. Hopefully you can see all that. But basically what we're going to do is go ahead and mark where the oil hole is on the flange so we know how it lines up. So I put a little black mark with a Sharpie on the end of the flange, and I know where the oil hole lines up. Got this thing cleaned up, basically put it in the parts cleaner for about 30 minutes or so, a little over. It's got a little staining on it still, I'm not worried about that, but it's really clean now. So we're going to put upper roller in the unit here. Needs to have this bushing put in. So we have the holes all lined up for the oil hole. Again, hopefully you guys can see that. And looking inside here, it does. So I'm going to go ahead and press this into position. Get you set up on the press. Alright, so that's seated to the bottom there, but we'll need to push it more through. So now you can see the alignment marks line up. And now it's got this little flaring tool, so we could flare it. So it says to only support the rivet head, but I think I'm going to do it in reverse, because that effectively does the same thing. See if I can get you guys a little bit lower here. Hold on while I set that up. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Let's take a look at it. It's pretty good, but I think I'm going to go a little further here. And I think that's probably going to be good. The flare is done. Again, hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going to give it a little squirt of oil here. Put some Andes Super Oil. Stuff's really good. It's not like WD-40, WD-40 penetrating oil. It's actually a lubricant, so it's more of an oil than a penetrating oil to free up rusty parts. Nice and smooth. So that is that. It's pressed together. Okay, so the interesting part about this is that the OEM roller, and I'll see if you guys can see this or not, but the OEM roller basically comes with this shim already there, where you'd have a snap ring on this setup on both sides. So again, hopefully you guys can see that. But there is no snap ring there. That is just a shoulder on this lower race here. So the new one comes with a double snap ring, so you have to have a second snap ring. So I happen to have a second one, so I'll go get that. Of course, you can use the stock pin if it's not worn. I think I'm going to do the double snap ring. I want to use a brand new pin roller setup here, not worn at all. And this roller basically just goes into the sleeve here. It's got a bronze bushing in there, nice and smooth. So that's one snap ring on. And we fit the roller in. Line it up. Slide that in. Get the second snap ring. I get it on the pliers first so it's not so difficult. There we go. In place and locked. Give it a little more lubrication here. I use this Andes oil a lot, so that is it. Alright, so that is basically the setup right there. New steel wheels on the chain tensioner for the CL160. Alright, you guys. Man, it is hot here today. I've actually taken some time off and building this bike because it's been over 100 degrees. It's still a relentlessly hot day. I've got my fan blowing max and it just is not letting up. So I'm working slow today. I'm not in any hurry. I don't want to rush because this is not fun when you're so freaking hot from working on this stuff. So anyway, I'm Loctiting in the neutral switch right now. That's a little small, but it'll start it. This one's got a little more meat to it. Alright, that should do it. Loctite on this. Of course, I'm out of sequence here. That's what happens when you're hot. You don't think. Alright, there we go. That is not really in a good position. Alright. So let me manipulate that a little bit because it is out of place. It's pretty much centered up now. Alright, let me get my meter out and make sure it's got a good connection. Yep, good connection there. Shift it into a gear here. And open. So we're good to go on that. Again, the only thing I don't really like is this little connector's got a slight bend outward to it. That looks pretty good. Alright, kind of important on these older bikes to make sure things line up. I noticed a lot of things that haven't really quite been exactly right, so they just take a little manipulation. So the next step would be the alternator here. Gasket is in order. Something like that. You use liquid nails. No.
No, why use that? Use real nails.
Yeah, real nails. Got the RTV black. Actually, before I do that, a little test fit would be nice. Gotta get the clutch mechanism together. We got RTV the gasket here. So really, the clutch mechanism is the next thing. Alright you guys, I didn't bring you in on the side cover installation basically because I was fighting with the gasket material, trying to finish using the tube that I started with on the bike here. Ended up with a plug and it wasn't acting right. I kept fighting with it and would have been in your way anyway. But real quick, here is the setup a little bit closer. Got the side cover on. That was the best clutch adjuster I had. Polished it up. All the seals in the bike. Wiring harness run through. Keepers in place. Neutral switch. Again, I know the lighting is not real great. Hopefully it'll focus too. Anyway, seeing as how it doesn't really want to focus. I got just a little bit of, not that you can see it, but just a little bit of slack in the clutch. Could tighten that up if needed, but want it to be able to run free and the rod's not running against it when it's basically in gear. So that should be a fairly close adjustment. Put the sprocket on once we put the engine on the bike. Now we're going to just go ahead and turn it around and do the other side. Not a whole lot to do over here yet, really just putting the side cover on. I realized that I used the only seal that I have for the Kickstarter because the motor that was running that we took off the bike, this is not that motor. That motor, we pulled the side cover off to replace the clutch so we could actually drive the bike for a short time. The clutch was slipping horribly. We could cruise a little bit in first and maybe second gear and it would slip like nuts in third and fourth. And then it was just getting worse. So we opened it up, had some extra clutch discs, got a good working clutch in it, and the old parts. Everything was going okay with that, but now I realized I used parts that I was going to use for this build. So the only thing I'm actually missing, because I did realize I was going to need a side cover gasket, which I have, but what I do not have is the seal for the Kickstarter. So that's going to end it for now. We're going to go ahead and jump back on it. I'll put it in an order, hopefully get it in the next couple days. So I should be jumping back on this early this next week here. So anyway, thanks for joining in and hanging out with us. Talk to you later.